most insane man vs. women moments the WWE has ever aired begins not with an entrance theme or a promo, but with Stone Cold Steve Austin raising a steel chair high above his head while Lita lies helpless on the mat, bracing herself for something she absolutely shouldn't have needed to brace herself for. The second that chair came down, you knew you were witnessing something the WWE would never do again, and Austin didn't just swing once. He swung again and again and again. Each strike louder than the last, each shot echoing across the arena in a way that made fans instinctively recoil, even though they knew this was wrestling, staged, controlled, pre-planned. But controlled violence still looks like violence. Even protected shots still make the body tense. Even knowing Lita insisted she could take it, insisted she wanted it to look good, insisted—
I think it was just—
Who?
Stone Cold.
That's right.
Austin shouldn't hold back doesn't make watching Stone Cold unleash the most relentless chair beatdown in the history of the WWE on a woman any easier to digest. Austin himself said he didn't want to do it. And you can somehow feel that in the footage, like every swing came with a mental flinch. But Lita wasn't flinching, she was absorbing. She was proving how tough she was in the only language the Attitude Era respected. Bumps, bruises, and brutality. It was ugly, it was intense, it was unforgettable. And that's exactly why it's the moment we start with, because when people talk about insane WWE man vs. woman moments that went too far, this is the one, this is the ceiling. This is the line the WWE crossed and never dared cross again. And yet somehow, the Attitude Era had already proved that the impossible wasn't completely off the table when it came to shock value.
I got it. I know how we'll get the people to hate you.
Because just a couple of years earlier, in one of the most downright unbelievable visuals ever shown on television, Bubba Ray Dudley lifted 76-year-old Mae Young into the air like he was about to perform a routine tag team spot. Bubba's eyes rolled back into his head, that trance overtaking him, that table-obsessed psychosis taking control, and in one swift, horrifying motion, he powerbombed Mae Young straight off the SmackDown stage. There was no CGI, no green screen, no Hollywood cut. Mae didn't take a soft landing disguised as a table. She took a full bump from a height most wrestlers twice her age would have refused. The crowd didn't even know what sound to make at first. Shock hung in the air like a fog, because for as much as fans talk today about the WWE going too far, nothing in the modern era compares to watching a grandmother get legitimately power-bombed off a stage and through real wood. And the wildest part, Mae Young wasn't forced, she asked to take the bump. She loved this business that much, she trusted Bubba that much, she was Mae Young. And being Mae Young meant doing the things no one else would ever dare to do. And speaking of disbelief, nothing quite matches the raw, collective gasp that rippled through the arena the night Kane, masked and monstrous, attacked Linda McMahon. This wasn't some random manager or lower card character, this was Linda, the mother of the McMahon Empire. The woman who appeared in suit spoke calmly and represented the corporate half of WWE's chaotic soul. Seeing Kane grab her, lift her in the air, and tombstone her like she was a sacrificial offering to the wrestling gods still feels surreal, like a fever dream from a timeline where wrestling and soap opera merged into one giant, unhinged entity. The thud of Linda's body hitting the mat sounded different. Heavier, too real. The silence after was real. Even commentary struggled to keep their voices steady. This wasn't entertainment. This was pure shock value. The WWE pushing the limits so far past reasonable that decades later, fans still reference this moment whenever they talk about things the company could never get away with today. And the funniest, strangest twist, in the years that followed, both Kane and Linda would become real-life politicians, meaning their first political clash technically happened through a tombstone piledriver only in the WWE. But shock in the WWE didn't always come from spectacle or violence. Sometimes it came from pure legitimacy, sometimes from wrestling itself, and nowhere is that clearer than when Kurt Angle delivered a flawless angle slam to Chyna. No over-the-top story, no humiliation, no adult-rated shock factor, just one of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time hitting one of the most powerful women in wrestling history with a textbook perfect slam. What made this moment so impactful wasn't the move itself, but the respect behind it. Kurt didn't hold back. Chyna didn't hesitate. The moment wasn't treated like a scandal or a joke. It was two elite athletes doing what elite athletes do, and that's something the WWE very rarely allowed. Intergender wrestling on equal footing. Chyna wasn't a novelty, she wasn't an exception, she was a competitor, and that angle slam is one of the purest pieces of evidence we have that she belonged. Of course, the Attitude Era also had moments that tested every boundary of taste and comfort, and few exemplify that better than the deeply uncomfortable segment where Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe groped and harassed Chyna on live television. At the time, it was framed as comedy, just another edgy Attitude Era bit, where the heels go too far and the crowd reacts with a mix of laughter and shock.
Powder to the eyes! Look at this!
But viewed through a modern lens, the scene feels completely different. It feels like a perfect summary of the Attitude Era's chaotic lack of boundaries, its willingness to use anyone and anything for shock value, and its inability to fully understand the difference between pushing limits and crossing them. Chyna deserved better than that segment, but that's also why it belongs in this narrative, because the story of intergender wrestling in the WWE is incomplete without acknowledging the moments that were shocking for the wrong reasons, the moments that didn't age well, the moments that remind us that progress is messy and sometimes painful.
Chyna's got a handful!
Shock also came in bizarre, head-tilting forms, like the night the WWE decided to book John Cena, their resident superhero, in a match against Lita with one arm tied behind his back. Even by the standards of the Diva era, this was something else. One-armed Cena still managed to beat Lita in under 30 seconds in one of the most lopsided matches the WWE ever aired. Watching it today feels surreal, like some fever dream parody of what the WWE used to think women's wrestling was supposed to be. Lita, one of the most talented women to ever step into a WWE ring, reduced to a squash victim because somebody in creative thought it would make Cena look strong. It didn't make him look strong. It made the match look absurd. And the WWE seemed to know it, because seconds later, Cena was jumped by half the heel locker room, as if the universe needed to subtract whatever bad karma the match had added.
Cena, oh my God, oh man!
And speaking of absurdity, DDP's A WWE run deserves its own chapter in this chaotic timeline. Imagine being Diamond Dallas Page, 3-time WCW World Champion, beloved, respected, a blue-collar success story who climbed to the top at an age when most wrestlers start winding down. Then imagine the WWE bringing you in and turning you into a stalker obsessed with The Undertaker's wife, Sarah.
Where are you going, Sarah? Are you all alone at home, Sarah?
The storyline felt off from the start, but when DDP finally attacked Sarah, it crossed from strange to career-ruining. Not because the moment was excessively violent or dangerous, but because it destroyed the credibility of a man who should have been presented as a major star. It was shocking, not in the wow, what a moment way, but in the wow, they really did DDP like that way.
DDP's a stalker! DDP is a stalker!
A reminder that not all shocks are created equal. Some are unforgettable for the worst possible reasons, but then you have the moments where the WWE actually got it right, like the night Trish Stratus finally snapped and unleashed every ounce of pent-up rage she had on Vince McMahon after months of humiliation that pushed the limits of even Attitude Era storytelling.
Come and get it, baby. Wait, what?
Trish delivered one of the most satisfying intergender payoffs in WWE history. Every slap she threw felt earned, every strike felt deserved. And when JR screamed, "Trish is on top and she's giving it to Vince," it wasn't crude, it was cathartic. It was the moment every fan had been waiting for, and the moment the underdog finally took back her dignity from the man who had stripped it away bit by bit. A rare example of the WWE using intergender dynamics to tell a powerful, resonant story that still holds up today. Legitimacy came back into play when Jacqueline defeated Chavo Guerrero to win the Cruiserweight Championship, marking one of the most impressive and genuinely shocking intergender achievements in WWE history. Jackie wasn't treated like a novelty, she wasn't booked for comedy, she wasn't thrown into a match as a stunt. She beat one of the most respected technical wrestlers in the company in a real match with real stakes for a real championship. Even today, the moment doesn't get the credit it deserved, but it stands as proof that intergender wrestling in the WWE wasn't always chaos. Sometimes it was sport, sometimes it was history, and Jackie was one of the few women allowed to touch that history directly. And then came Ronda Rousey, who redefined what a modern man vs woman shock moment could look like. When she grabbed Triple H, a 255-pound legend, and slammed him through a table without hesitation, fans realised they weren't watching just another celebrity signing. They were watching a legitimate fighter doing something entirely believable but completely unexpected. Ronda wasn't presented as a joke. She wasn't presented as an experiment. She was presented as someone who could physically dominate anyone, regardless of gender, and the WWE framed it with blockbuster energy. The gasp from the audience wasn't horror, it was awe. That same sense of equality lived in Nia Jax's entry in the 2019 Men's Royal Rumble. She didn't come out as a joke entrant. She didn't come out to get tossed in seconds. She came out swinging. Taking a 619, a super kick, and an RKO all in one sequence made her the first woman to take that iconic finisher combo in wrestling history. And the rumour mill churned immediately. The WWE was testing the waters for more intergender wrestling. They wanted to know if fans would buy into it, accept it, cheer for it, and in that moment, they absolutely did. For that night, Nia Jax wasn't a women's division star. She was simply a star. And then Becky Lynch walked into the picture and redefined shock altogether. When she stepped up to John Cena on the first SmackDown of 2019 and treated him like an equal, fans realised they were watching a shift in the company's hierarchy. Becky wasn't intimidated, she wasn't deferential, she wasn't stepping aside for the face of the previous generation. She shoved him, outperformed him, outshined him, and threw him out of the ring in one of the most symbolic modern moments the WWE has ever delivered. No violence, no objectification, no chaos, just a passing of the torch without anyone needing to say it. Of course, the WWE still had its wild moments, even after the Attitude Era ended, like the time Stacy Keibler tried to share the ring with Stone Cold Steve Austin and found out the hard way that nobody is safe from a stunner. Watching Austin drop Stacy with that move in 2002 felt like watching a relic of the Attitude Era suddenly burst into a time period where it no longer belonged. The crowd popped instantly, Stacy sold it beautifully, and the moment became one of the last true Attitude-style shocks the WWE ever allowed before slamming the door on that era for good. And somehow, amidst all the chaos, brutality, and controversy, the WWE once shocked fans with something far simpler. A genuinely great man vs woman match, Chris Jericho and Christian versus Trish Stratus and Lita remains the single best intergender match the WWE ever produced. Not because it was dangerous, not because it was outrageous, but because it was good, real, emotional, competitive. Every performer played their part perfectly, every movement felt natural, every beat of the storyline worked, and for one night, intergender wrestling wasn't taboo or spectacle or chaos, it was wrestling, pure wrestling. And that's the most shocking outcome of all. The one time the WWE treated men and women as equals in the ring, they created something unforgettable.